This is the Italian Real Estate Podcast, here to help you with the ins and outs and basics of Italian real estate, presented by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Italian Real Estate Podcast, presented by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. Of course, we are back at it again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great, thank you. And of course, I'm Rafael Di Furia, and today we wanted to talk a bit about the Italian Golden Visa and compare it with the Portuguese Golden Visa. There have been many individuals who are interested in both, and both Golden Visa projects and programs have some differences between the two. And one Golden Visa may be more advantageous to one group of people, whereas the other may be advantageous to a very different subset of individuals. So Marco, before we get into the Portuguese side of things, can you give us a little bit of an overview of the Italian Golden Visa? We've done a previous episode on it, but just for the episode, a quick run through I think would be good enough.
The Italian Golden Visa was introduced by the government in 2017 with the budget law and was meant, of course, to attract high net worth individuals and push them to not only invest in Italy, but to obtain residency in Italy through investment. Now, Italy is a country that doesn't offer and never offered residency through investment on real estate. So there are other types of investments that need to be done, but the acquisition of personal real estate is not an option to obtain the residency in Italy through the Golden Visa.
Marco, I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but I just have a quick question. When you're saying for personal kind of reasons or for personal investment, what are you talking about there? How does that differentiate from maybe another type of investment that a person would be making?
The type of investment that you need to make in order to qualify for the Italian Golden Visa needs to be of commercial or philanthropic nature. There are actually four major categories of investments that you can make to qualify for the investor visa. The four types of investments that allow a person to qualify for an investor visa are an investment of 2 million euros in government bonds, an investment of 500,000 euros in an Italian LLC, or 250,000 euros in a startup company based in Italy, and finally 1 million euros in a philanthropic initiative. And we have talked about in great detail of these four categories in a previous video where we talked specifically about the Italian investor visa. So for further details, I invite people to check out that episode because we really went into great detail.
Well, thank you so much, Marco, for sharing all of that information. And of course, one major factor when talking about any kind of visa, but specifically this investor visa or so-called golden visa, what is the duration? How long does this last? How long would a person have the ability to remain in Italy with this type of visa?
The visa is initially released for 2 years and it can be renewed for an additional 3 years, after which you can qualify for permanent residency in Italy. Now, the renewal after the first 2 years can be done from within Italy. And also, we have talked about this, but what you're actually renewing is the residency permit, not the visa. In Italy, we have a system where you get the visa from the consulate to enter the country, but then you need to apply within days from your arrival in the country for a residency permit, which is the document that legally allows you to reside in Italy. So what you're going to be renewing after the initial 2 years is the residency permit, which of course you can only renew for an additional 3 years if you have maintained the financial requirements, meaning the investment over the course of the previous 2 years. So the prerequisite to renew the visa is that you have maintained the investment that you were supposed to make in order to get the golden visa in the first place.
Thank you so much, Marco. And something else that I'm sure that we covered in more detail in that episode, specifically about the Golden Visa, is this a visa that actually has a path to citizenship, or is there some sort of finite aspect to this visa?
Yes, getting the Golden Visa allows you to qualify for citizenship through residency, and you can apply for citizenship through residency after 10 years of uninterrupted residency in Italy, meaning that you need to have been registered with the registry of residence of a specific Italian town for a 10 years period without interruptions in order to be able to apply for citizenship through residency, meaning, for example, if you got the golden visa and you maintain it for 2 years plus another 1 year, but then you move back to your home country and then you obtain another one, so there's a gap in your residency in Italy, then you wouldn't be able to count the initial years of residency in Italy. So the total 10 years period need to be of uninterrupted residency in the country. But then if you have Italian ancestors up to the second degree, so an Italian-born parent or grandparent, you can qualify for citizenship after only 3 years of residency in the country.
Thank you, Marco. And another factor that individuals who are moving to Italy under this visa might be concerned about would be their taxation and what that might look like from the perspective of somebody with either a commercial or philanthropic interest in the country. What would taxation for that individual potentially look like?
Italy taxes people based on residency in Italy, and it's, of course, a very complicated subject where a person could have the ability to exclude some of their income based on international treaties between their country of origin and Italy, if their country of origin taxes them based on their citizenship, like the US. So there could be a situation where, for example, you're a US citizen who obtains residence in Italy and need to worry about taxes in both countries. But like I just said, there are international treaties that avoid that specific situation. But also, Italy has introduced a program for high net worth individuals and specifically those people that likely obtain residency in Italy through the golden visa, where they can opt for a tax regime, a special tax regime for themselves and their family, where they only pay an annual flat tax on all of their incomes produced abroad, equal to 100,000 euros. So people who are, again, high net worth individuals may choose the option of paying just 100,000 euros per year, and that's it on all their foreign income.
Well, very interesting. And Marco, just to jump into the Portuguese side of things and to start comparing it with the Italian system, you mentioned before the types of investments that were available for an individual to get the visa in Italy. But what about in Portugal? What does that look like?
Portugal has different options of investment that one can make in order to obtain the Portuguese investor visa, also known as D9 visa. Now, Portugal has removed very recently the ability to invest in real estate for personal reasons and obtain the golden visa in connection to the purchase of real estate, which was a very popular option until recently. But even if it was a popular option, a lot of people were making different types of investments, so different from real estate, to qualify for the golden visas. So the types of investments that one can make are the following: 500,000 in a Portuguese investment fund, or 500,000 for research activities of public or private entities that are part of the national scientific or technological system. But that goes down to 400,000 euros in areas of low population density, and we can describe in a second what that means. Another option is to invest 250,000 to support the artistic production or the recovery or maintenance of national cultural heritage, and that sum of money goes down to 200,000 euros in areas of low population density. There are also other business-related investments that you can make in order to obtain residency in Portugal through the golden visa. The first one involves creating a company and investing 500,000 euros in the company, and you need to hire 5 people and maintain those 5 people for a period of 3 years. The second option is to just create 10 new jobs. So there is no investment required for this option. You just have to create 10 new jobs or 8 new jobs in an area of a low population density, which now we can define. A low population density area in Portugal is an area with less than 10 people per square kilometer, or an area with a GDP of below 75% of the national average.
Well, very interesting, Marco. And of course, another very important factor is, of course, how long the visa is actually good for and how to go about renewing it, or do you have to renew it? How does that all work in Portugal?
The Portuguese Golden Visa is issued initially for a 2 years period. And after those 2 years, it can be renewed for 2 more years as long as you maintain the investments that you made to obtain the visa in the first place. After the 2 years renewal, you can renew it one more time for 2 more years. Now, in Portugal, after 5 years, you qualify for citizenship through residency or for permanent residency.
Very interesting, Marco. And just because we're on the topic of citizenship and permanent residency, can you just give us a quick insight into what are some of the differences, practically speaking, between the two?
Well, residency might be a better option for people who want to live in Portugal without having to obtain Portuguese citizenship because maybe their country of origin doesn't allow them to hold dual citizenship. So in that situation, their only option could be to maintain only residency or permanent residency in Portugal, because otherwise they would be forced to relinquish their citizenship in their own country. Of course, several countries nowadays allow their citizens to hold dual or even sometimes multiple citizenships. That's the case, for example, regarding the US, where you could obtain Portuguese citizenship without having to relinquish your US citizenship. But there are some countries that do not allow that currently. Now, with that being said, being a citizen, of course, offers more advantages, especially in terms of European Union related advantages, such as the ability to travel in the other European countries freely and the ability to relocate in other European countries and work there and settle there permanently without basically any formalities or with little formalities.
And Marco, a question about the time that you actually need to spend in the country. Are there any requirements on either the Portuguese or Italian side as far as how long and what kind of presence that you have to have within the country?
With regard to the Portuguese Golden Visa, you're only required to stay in Portugal for 7 days during the first year and 14 days each year for the subsequent years. Now, Italy has different rules because in general, in Italy, for any kind of residency permit or visa that you obtain, you cannot leave the country for a period of time that exceeds the half of the duration of your residency permit. So if you have a golden visa in Italy, you will be required to stay in Italy for the majority of the time. So for instance, considering the first year of your residency permit, you need to stay in the country for at least 6 months and 1 day.
Well, thank you again so much, Marco, and for getting into all of these topics. There's a lot of information between the two countries and a lot to consider for those who are thinking about pursuing a European Golden Visa. Of course, if anybody is needing help to get either the Portuguese or Italian quote-unquote Golden Visa, how can they get in contact with you and your team?
People can contact us through our website, italianrealestatelawyers.com, or give us a call. Our number is on the website.
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you're interested in more information about Italian citizenship or Italian real estate, be sure that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel. But of course, we have the audio only podcast that you can find, the Italian real estate podcast. But of course, being subscribed to the YouTube channel, you're subscribed both to this podcast, the Italian real estate podcast, as well as the Italian citizenship podcast, another project that Marco and I collaborate on, where we talk about some of the legal aspects and more detail of how to practically make Italy your home. And also, if you're interested in more discussions about life abroad and living abroad, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia, or you can search for Not Your Average Globetrotter on YouTube or your favorite podcasting platform of choice. But of course, we have been here again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian from ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. I'm Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we will see you all next time. Later.
Thank you.